China declares Bitcoin property. That and much more. Question everything. Trust nothing. Welcome to Debate Crypto. It's your boys, Keeper and Crusader, and we are back for another Sunday Fun Day weekly wrap up. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully, everybody is doing well. I just got out of church. Crusader, got my Jesus on this morning. What are you up to?
Not much, just surviving out here, man. I've been setting up the stream, preparing the Danger Close Alpha stream that's going to be redirected right afterward. A lot of work happening in the background right now for you guys.
Yeah, we are definitely doing that. And if you haven't already subscribed over there, the link is in the chat. Make sure that you guys do that, please. We're going to give away a t-shirt. I know it doesn't sound like much, but we're trying to give you guys something here, okay? When we get to 50 subs, we're at 35 right now. We've got some really fun topics that we're going to go into today. Like I said before, we like to walk that little bit of a line. We're going to have some fun, so make sure you check that out. As I said, it is in the chat. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure that you have hit the bell notification just to know when we are actually streaming. If you don't already know, it is Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays, and then Sundays for Danger Close Alpha at 1 p.m. Now, that might be changing soon. We're having some discussions in the background. Bull market is rapidly approaching, and we have some changes that are going to be happening. I think you guys are going to be really excited about. So stick around. We'll keep you posted as to any changes in our streaming schedule. All right, cool. Let me jump into the chat real quick, Crusader. Let's see who was first in the house. Hopefully I get this right. Sometimes I miss it because I don't actually check on YouTube. But it looks like Crypto Warlock was first in the house. He says, good morning. It is actually good afternoon at this point, but it was good morning when you said it. So good morning to you as well. We've got Matthew Barnes in the house, Griff, Aru, Psychedelic Astronaut. Like that name. That's a good one. Then John Foster Crypto. I want to start off actually with a question here before we dive into it. We don't normally do this, but I think it's a good question. If Bitcoin is property, can I insure it on my house insurance like my wedding ring? Do you think we'll get to a point, Crusader, where if it genuinely is property, I know I have an insurance policy on my wife's wedding ring, to where you'll be able to insure it, or because it's a volatile asset, probably not so much?
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question for sure. I've never thought about it that way, but because you can insure things like jewelry, like expensive diamonds, right? If it gets stolen or whatever, you get paid out what it is. But there's always going to be more diamonds. There's always going to be more houses. There's always going to be more, but there's not going to be more Bitcoin. So unless they can figure out a way where they can somehow retrieve that Bitcoin that gets lost or stolen, and there's guarantees in those techniques, I don't know if the insurance of Bitcoin is going to be a beneficial industry for those, because how easily could you just say, hey, my Bitcoin was just sent accidentally from a wallet to another wallet. I was trying to send it here, but I accidentally sent it over there. I don't have ownership of that wallet, and you actually do, and then they're going to pay you out at the same time. So I don't know. Maybe there's something in the future, but I can't envision it right now.
There are some companies that we talked to at one of the events. I forget which event it was, but that they had talked to us about being able to recover seed phrases and whatnot. And that's kind of an insurance policy to where you can pay this company to be able to dive in. It's actually really expensive. You better have lost or misplaced a decent amount of crypto to make it make sense. But that is some sort of an insurance policy that I could see doing well in the future. There's a lot that goes into that. It's super technical. And like I said, it's really expensive. But yeah, the other part of it too is you have an asset that is gaining and losing value. What are they going to peg that value? Like, are you going to effectively set if they were to insure it, there's no way they're going to give you dollar for dollar. Whereas with a ring, right, that might increase in value over time.
Maybe they'll insure you in Bitcoin.
Well, you're saying just Bitcoin to Bitcoin. Hey, we'll just insure one Bitcoin to one Bitcoin. Here's what you're going to pay per month. And we'll guarantee that if something were to happen and you can verify on the blockchain that indeed happened, then we can insure it.
Yeah, that would make the most sense, because the dollar to Bitcoin thing has always been a problem. We've had those conversations, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to have to maybe go in that route where it's like one Bitcoin is insured by one Bitcoin. And if something happens, you're going to get a Bitcoin. Wherever that price dollar amount is, doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's a really interesting idea. So thanks for the question, guys. Keep the questions coming. We're definitely paying attention to the chat. Like I said, smash that like if you haven't already. Let's get into it. Let's take a look at the markets. I need to update this real quick, but let me pull up a little coin market cap action. Let me hit the update button here. We have the global crypto market cap at 1.04 trillion with the T dollars. That's down 0.02%. If you're new to the crypto markets, weekends are boring. Now, crypto as a whole has been relatively boring throughout these last couple months. There's been a few ups and downs.
Pretty interesting these last couple of weeks with these massive pump and dumps.
Yeah, it's been interesting the last couple of weeks, but has been kind of macro boring. But weekends, especially, are pretty boring. It's not that the trading isn't happening, but there's a lot of institutional players that aren't playing with the markets on the weekend. So it just kind of chills out a little bit. Bitcoin's at 25,874. Pretty flat, down 0.19%, down almost 1% on the week. ETH at 1633. USDT Tether, we're not going to pull this up today, but I did see an article that was concerned with the depegging of Tether, basically questioning some of the stability. So maybe we should dive in and check that out. BNB is at 214, just above that 212 number you've heard us talking about quite a bit. I think they've kind of solidified things there. I haven't heard too much more about a liquidation point for CZ at Binance. Dogecoin at 6 cents. That's something that we're looking at possibly to bounce, to jump if Twitter were to put out some information. Cardano down at 25 cents, man. I see that as an opportunity. And then rounding out the top 10, Solana and Tron. Tron's at 7 cents, also pretty flat. All right, so Crusader, give me a little TA love, brother. People come on here. They want to know, hey, what is going on in the charts? Scratch my back a little bit. And we've got ChartPrime to show that for you. If you guys are looking for just some of the simple indicators that are easy to use, that have literally training sessions on it to be able to help you through it, ChartPrime is in the chat. So Crusader, hit me with it.
Yeah, dude, let me show you what I got. So, well, clicked over and didn't actually share my screen.
He has 8,000 tabs open currently, so he's got to find it. Give him a second, folks.
So I don't have ChartPrime pulled up right now, but I just have key levels that people need to watch out for, right? So we've talked about this macro regression trend. This is the yearly regression trend that we've been on. We've been on up and up. Clearly, we broke through that when that last massive drop happened, right? We broke through it, but this is also the yearly range that we're in. We're holding above this yearly value area low right here. This is key support level. If you keep losing this, we're headed towards this next quarter 2 of 2023 PIV, right, which has supported us back here in June, and it supported us when that massive crash happened, which is at 24,700, give or take. If we lose this level, if we lose this value area low, right, which is I believe we will. We might.
I do too.
Because we dropped out of the regression trend. We had support. We went sideways. We retested the regression trend perfectly and broke right back down again to the same level. So we already had the retest, and we have the retest and the confirmation. The breakout seems to be happening on the way down. So I believe this area might break. Anything can happen. I could be wrong. I'm not a TA expert. Next level of support will be this 24/7, give or take. We lose this. Big level here all the way to 21,000. There might be some stops on the way. There might be some stops here, but nothing huge. 21,154 is the February PIV, which will be the next level of support. And if we lose that, then we're heading down to that 17 over here. We might stop out. You can always drop below.
I stop around that 20 number where the CME gap is.
So things can always happen like this, right? You see this massive red candle, and it's a massive wick, right? It goes right back up. So you can break below this 21, wick down to 20, even 19, and then go right back and close above it, right? And this level still be held. So we could see things like that. But these are just some big overall levels. There's always some levels in between here, but these are the big ones that we need to be watching out for. I do believe we're possibly going to be heading a little bit lower here. Unless something crazy happens that can push us back into this regression trend and we continue going on the up and up, I see us going down.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think we got some downward action coming as well. We've been talking about
a terrible month, apparently, statistically for Bitcoin. So unless this is going to be the anomaly and September is going to, pump it up, I see us heading down.
You know, an interesting idea, though, we've seen so many times when everybody thinks it's going down and September is a down month and everybody's talking about it. Sometimes these markets like to play games with everybody, and you just don't know. It's part of the reason why a lot of our strategy is the dollar cost average, because it's so hard to predict these markets. If you are not day trading, if you are not doing short swing trades, trying to get in and out of positions, it's really hard to predict where these markets are going. But macro, it looks like we're probably going to head lower. So don't be scared out of your shorts. Hold strong, people. I'm telling you, it has been so good for us over the long term, and it can continue to be good for you as well. You know, these are opportunities, I believe, not financial advice, but these are opportunities for us to be able to, whether you're dollar cost averaging down, or maybe whether you're just trying to get and accumulate, which is always our goal, some more Bitcoin, some more Ethereum, whatever assets you're trying to stack up on. So stick around. We'll keep giving you the alpha. As always, on Mondays, we've got the TA love coming in more on altcoins, and on Thursdays, more Bitcoin centric. We're actually going to have on some people coming on soon to give us some stock market info as well. We've got Bullish Trader, good friend of the show, that's going to definitely come on soon and show you guys some love on maybe some low cap stock market stuff. We're trying to mix it up a little bit for you.
Also, we're probably gonna start restreaming every single day again. Every single day, Monday through Friday, just for the simple fact that I don't got a job anymore, guys. So I'm unemployed, so I got time to stream at 3 o'clock every single day throughout the week.
That is your cue to toss out whatever super chats you guys like. We gotta get Crusader back on board here. No, we're gonna be working hard for you. We appreciate you guys for being here. So smash that like if you haven't already. And just a reminder, guys, Danger Close Alpha right after the show. We grabbed one of you here in the last couple minutes. I did just take a peek. We're at 36. I'll give you guys a second if you want to just tap the pinned chat. We would appreciate if you guys come over there, at least give us a sub, and we'd love for you to watch us. All right, cool. Let's get into it. We've got some interesting information happening worldwide right now. Let's kick it off with, do we want to start off? Let's start off with, I think this is interesting. Let's start off with Turkey, okay? Turkey.
Too early for that, bro. Turkey's for Thanksgiving.
Yes, November. It is. End of November. We are a little early. Half the people in Turkey now own crypto. KuCoin says crypto adoption is high in Turkey, as observed in other nations struggling with rapid inflation. All right, so let's talk about why. I obviously just mentioned inflation. It says crypto adoption is on the rise in Turkey, a country in the throes of high inflation. According to research conducted by KuCoin, over the last year and a half, adoption has increased from 40% to 52% of the Turkish population. Now, per our findings, Turkey and other previous country reports for Turkey, the growing number and percentage of crypto investors indicate an increasing interest and acceptance of crypto as a hedge against inflation, especially with the Turkish lira losing over 50% of its value against the US dollar, a KuCoin representative told Decrypt. The KuCoin representative pointed to similar previous KuCoin reports about Brazil and Nigeria, where inflation is also a massive problem. So my question for you, Crusader, is inflation is not I think it's a massive problem here, but with the numbers and the way that they're,
tell the Turkians how bad it is over there.
Right. So we're not at that point right now, but it has been climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. And we are overall, I don't know how they report their numbers, but I know we've talked about this before on here. We report our numbers as, we're up 6%, we're up 5%, we're up 4%, we're down. And they pitch it to you that way. But no, these numbers keep getting exponentially bigger. I believe by going to the store right now, that would tell you that we probably are at, over the past couple of years, 50% probably inflation. I really don't think that that's a crazy number. We're at least at 25, no doubt about that. So Crusader, when are we going to get to the point, or what needs to happen in the United States for us to get to that level? Let me ask you this. I know there's statistics on this, but what do you think? First of all, how many people in the United States, percentage-wise, do you think have a basic understanding of crypto and or hold crypto?
Ooh, a percentage of people that understand and hold crypto, dude, I would definitely say that would be less than 5%.
I agree. So do we think that the Turkish are actually spending time to investigate this thing that is crypto? Or are they saying, oh, shoot, I got to do something. Let me just figure out how this thing called KuCoin works and buy something that I believe is going to help me fight against inflation? or do you think that they're actually like diving into crypto?
So I think they might have a better understanding because people learn the hard way, right? When you're in a hard spot situation like that and you're facing massive inflation in your country and your dollar's dropping, you instantly start to learn, what does inflation mean? Oh wait, this is how money works. This is how they're making this happen. Oh wait, what other assets or what other currencies could I be holding in to stop this from happening to me? Oh, there's this thing called Bitcoin that no government can control and you can create more of. Okay, I want that. Versus when you're in a country where you don't really have an incentive to leave the dollar, right? Because in everyday life, you're being told that save money, put money away in your bank account. That's how you're going to make it, right? And you're holding the strongest currency in the world. You're like, oh, yeah, there's a little bit of inflation, but it's so much worse everywhere else. I'm glad I'm holding dollars. And you don't really have that motive to really flee from US dollars into Bitcoin or other assets. So I think that's the biggest problem in a first world country like this. You just think that, it's just not as bad as it really is, and you don't really have a motive.
Yeah. And I think that either people are going to have to continue to genuinely wake up and smell the coffee, right? Like actually see that this is a huge problem, or unfortunately, we're going to have to go with what Crusader just said. People learn the hard way. And that's part of what we're trying to do when we educate you guys on crypto, when we bring people into the crypto space. It's not, listen, we can't move the price of Bitcoin. We can't move the price of Ethereum. We can't move the price of the assets that we talk about on a regular basis, right? The reality is we're just trying to introduce the fact that, hey, this is another option that has been successful for us. And we hope and pray that you guys can grab hold, get educated, and have it be successful for you.
Another perfect example is what we talk about on the Danger Close Alpha podcast, and we'll dive more into it over there. But it's just people preparing for situations, right? When the fog around the world started, food was running out on the shelves, right? That
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper was gone. I remember going to BJ's, Costco, and the meat racks just being empty.
Oh, I remember that.
There was no meat.
I was feeding my dogs raw at that point, and I needed to grab 300 pounds of chicken at a time. And they were like, hell no. I had to like get hooked in with a manager at the store to be able to even to do it.
There was restrictions, all kinds of stuff, right? People forgot about that already. Are people stacking up food now for the next, emergency? No, they're not. So it's these things that people learn the hard way. When it's going down, everyone wants to become a prepper. Everybody wants to stack. Everyone is super hyper aware of, things that they need to be doing and not doing and avoiding and all this stuff. But the minute the danger goes away, they're just like, oh, okay, we're back to normal, business as usual. And they just stop doing all those things. So same thing happened with inflation, right? When inflation's going on intense in these countries, people are all about it. Here in the United States, we're not feeling that pain. So we're just like, yeah.
And it's funny too, because that coincides directly with buying when people want to buy when the market is ripping. It feels good to buy when the market is ripping. And I've made that mistake before. I'm not saying that there's not opportunities when the market is ripping to buy. What I'm saying is the opportunities are quite the opposite. And it's the same thing as preparing. The time to prepare is before the crap hits the fan. The time to prepare is not when you get the news that, oh boy, things have gone sideways. And it's the same thing with crypto. So when we talk about getting educated, spending some time, when we talk about understanding what assets you're investing in, why you're investing in them, and what your game plan with that is, what are your profit taking strategies, all of these things kind of need to happen, or not kind of, they need to happen in advance of the news that comes out or the events that come out in the world. So hopefully you guys are paying attention to that. It will save you in the end. You will thank yourself. Again, we're not here to give you financial advice. We're just throwing out there that there are opportunities left, right, and sideways in this space. As you can see in other countries that are feeling so much pain, what are they doing? They're fleeing to crypto because they see this as an opportunity for them to fight against this ugly thing that is called inflation.
Talking about fighting, we are fighting to get to that 10K sub milestone, guys. So let's smack that subscribe button. We are 84 subs away from 10K.
Come on,
make it happen. Let's make it happen before my birthday, guys. My birthday's coming up this month. Let's make it happen.
And we're gonna have a little 10K party. We're gonna do a little giveaway. I haven't decided what we're gonna give away and whatnot, but we would like to do that sooner than later. So if you have not subbed, hey, throw us a bone here. Let's do it, and then make sure to turn on your notifications. I actually see a very fun name in the chat. I'm going to point this out here real quick. Kush is my cologne 810. I got to tell you, that is a creative name. I know a lot of people that Kush is their cologne, and they stand out. They definitely do. So thank you for being here. Glad to see you. All right, let's move it forward. Let's talk a little bit about China. China. This is really important. China court declares virtual assets legal properties protected by law. Despite a blanket ban on cryptos imposed in Beijing in 2021, many Chinese courts over the years have established that virtual asset holders have property rights. A people's court in China published a report of the legality of virtual assets, analyzing the criminal law attributes of these digital assets. The court noted in its report that virtual assets under the current legal policy framework are still legal property and protected by law. The People's Court of the People's Republic of China exercise judicial power independently and are not subject to interference by an administrative or public organization. These courts try criminal, civil, and administrative cases as well as economic disputes. The report, titled Identification of the Property Attributes of Virtual Currency and Disposal of Property Involved in the Case, acknowledged that virtual assets have economic attributes and thus can be classified as property, reported a local daily. Although China has deemed all foreign digital assets illegal by imposing a blanket ban, the report urges that virtual assets held by individuals should be considered legal and protected by law under the current policy framework. Okay, so we had the interesting question at the start as to, well, if it's considered property, can I insure it? So let me ask a little bit different question. So if it's considered property, Crusader, are we going to get to the point to where people are going to treat it as such for tax purposes? We've talked about this a lot. Over here, you have what's called a 1031 exchange with real estate. And it's one of the problems that I hate in the crypto space. It's one of the reasons that, we've got this mining, we've got our mining stuff going on in Paraguay that's happening. And part of the reason that a few people didn't get in is because they didn't want to make the exchange from one asset to another and have the tax obligation that existed. So if it is going to be considered and deemed virtual assets as property, how long do you think, Crusader, or will it happen at all before some of these countries, including the United States, start saying, okay, they might not be exactly the same, just like two homes aren't exactly the same, but they are actual property where you can say, okay, I'm trading one property for another property, therefore it's of like kind, and I don't have this tax obligation. That would be a game changer for us. Do you believe it'll happen?
Yes, in the terms of, as we see these spot ETFs and we start seeing more ETFs happening and we start seeing these hedge funds creating these indexes, right? Because at some point you're probably going to have a crypto index where you're just buying a whole nest of cryptos, right? And you're just hedging your bets that way. And I think as that starts to happen, we're going to start to see more of that regulation coming in to make those rules of like assets, whether it's, somebody brought up in a previous stream, maybe it happens with proof of work to proof of work assets.
Oh, yeah.
Proof of stake to proof of stake assets, right? That's just one of the ways they can start, or they can just say, hey, crypto's crypto. Meanwhile, it's in the crypto space, right? And you're not cashing it out to a stable coin, then boom, you're in like assets and you got nothing to worry about. And I think it would help with these hedge funds as they're moving funds around and managing other people's money versus dealing with all the tax implications every time they try changing up their portfolios in any kind of way, when we're talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars, possibly even trillions of dollars being managed by these hedge funds.
Now let's go full on debate crypto style with a question here, right? This might even be bordering on DCA style, the danger close alpha style, with this question, but I'm gonna throw this at you. We haven't had this discussion, so I'm putting you on the spot. China has been very well known for communism, right? And basically takeover.
One of the few things they're good. They're
one of the few things they're known for, right? Physical takeover of property when people get in trouble. Could this, on a more conspiratorial side, could this be, the gift that then keeps on giving back to the government, where they effectively say, you know what, omnis dominus, we bless thee. This is actual property. It is protected as such under the law. And then right when somebody gets in trouble for something they wasn't supposed to do in China, they say, gotcha, bitch. And then they take and then they start seizing property, which happens to be Bitcoin. Does that seem like a stretch?
That's not a stretch. That happened to Andrew Tate, right? Andrew Tate's Bitcoin, at least a portion of it was seized when he was arrested, right? So that is definitely going to be something that happens when you get in trouble. It's going to happen anywhere, right? Governments love to seize assets that gain value, and they just like, hey, we just made a nice little investment here into our own portfolio,
That's
and
right.
then they go on and hold on to it, and they didn't have to spend a single dollar to get it. So I think that's definitely a possibility that can happen. But it gives the people the opportunity. If you set yourself up correctly, you can protect yourself from that happening, right? You can protect your seed phrase. You can put these things in safe places where governments can't reach, they can't find, they can't get. And then it's just like, come and get it. There's nothing I can do
Yeah.
about it. And just, and you can be secure in different ways. So people won't be fully, screwed on this one by governments by being property seizures and stuff like that. That's the thing about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies that protect people. You become your own bank, and if you take the security enough, if you take the security serious enough, you
Yeah.
can
Good luck
actually
getting it.
protect yourself from
Yeah.
getting your assets seized.
Yeah, it's like our boy over on TikTok that does all of the trust attorney.
Oh yes, yeah.
Spacing on his name, and I know him and
Blake
talked
Harris.
to. Yes, Blake Harris, good guy. Definitely, if you're looking to do some trust stuff, you can reach out to him. But check this out. I do want to touch this real quick. So Green Day Profits said, "Weird, I just got an ad in the middle of the live stream." So Green Day Profits. On our end, they've kind of changed up some stuff, and basically, as the ads go, we just put it as, "Hey, YouTube, you guys figure it out," because it allows us to like pick like aggressive on ads, and we're like, no, we're not doing that to our freaking people, absolutely not. So we just use like the hey, you guys figure it out. So if you do see a little bit different, hang with us. We haven't changed anything. It's YouTube doing their thing to try to press forward all the the ads and stuff. So I do apologize. What'd you say? Get an ad blocker? That's a good idea too, but we probably shouldn't say that on here. Crypto fam, smash that like if you haven't already. Make sure the bell notification's on. And remember, pinned in the chat, 1 p.m. Danger Close Alpha. We're going ham. We got some crazy topics to talk about today. We'll be walking the line on some conspiratorial stuff, and then we're giving you a lot of updated. There's a lot happening politically. I don't want to touch on it now, but there is a lot happening, and some of it is downright scary. So if you want to come check that out, that's at 1 p.m. Make sure to subscribe over there. All right, so we were just talking about China. China is one of the BRICS nations. Okay, what would be a great way for a group of nations, a basket of nations coming together, putting their currencies together, accepting or not accepting currencies that they don't want? What would be a great way to fight against the U.S. dollar's hegemony? Well, I'll tell you. Let's go ahead and dump $114.5 billion in U.S. treasuries, China and the new BRICS member, Saudi Arabia. So they just dumped $114.5 billion in treasuries. Now, I know that's a large number, but it's a small versus what they actually have. But it says BRICS members, China and Saudi Arabia, are unloading hundreds of billions of dollars worth of U.S. treasuries. New numbers from the Treasury Department show that China trimmed its U.S. Treasury holdings from $938.8 billion, at almost $1 trillion there, in June of 2022 to $835.4 billion in June of 2023, a decrease of about $103.4 billion in 12 months. Now, even though China's been dumping U.S. treasuries over the past year, the country is still one of the largest creditors of the United States, second to Japan's holding of $1.105 trillion. As for BRICS member Saudi Arabia, the Middle Eastern country, reducing its holding of U.S. debt by $11.1 billion over the same period, from 119 to 108 billion. The decline in the bond holdings of the two BRICS nations are a fresh sign of, like I said, opposition to the U.S. dollar's hegemony. Now, is this a direct attack, Crusader, as you see it, on the United States, or is this like the little like friendly reminder where the neighbor knocks on your door and just like kind of leaves a little message that that the message wasn't exactly it was telling you more than was actually written there? Do you think this is a direct front like attack on the United States? Are they going to continue to do this, or is this a a long play where they're just going to slowly exit out of treasuries?
Man, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a good mixture of both, right? Of a warning to the United States, and at the same time, a firm threat that yes, we will do it. We're not just
We're willing to.
we are willing to walk away. So the problem is the interest rate hikes keep happening, the inflation keeps happening, the U.S. dollar is being heavily manipulated, and it's not benefiting these countries to hold dollars at this time, right? And it's not benefiting them to back their currencies with dollars if the United States is going to be playing all these games with the world reserve currency. I understand that that gives the United States a lot of power and they like it, but these other countries are also seeing, hey, the world has changed, right? We are no longer in the 19th and the 20th century where we are dominated by the United States and is no other option. There is nothing else. We just got to suck it up and keep going. We are in the 21st century now. We're in the digital age, and there are many, many different alternatives. And countries are banding together, okay, the BRIC nations, and they're saying they're exploring these options and they're making moves. And the US dollar is at its weakest time right now. So they understand that now is the time if they want to change the world reserve currency, if they want to, for the good or the worse, they now is the time, and they are making it happen. The United States needs to get their stuff together. They need to figure out what's happening in the Federal Reserve. What are they going to? Are they going to just keep interest rates higher and higher and higher? Because they're saying they might raise them 2 more times this year, right? And that affects other countries too. Other countries feel pain when that happens.
Of course.
So countries are not happy right now, and they definitely want to move away from the boot that's on their neck.
Yeah, and I think the really interesting part to me is that, I think that they, unfortunately for the United States, made a great move by banding together. Because the reality is, the power is not just in the combined militaries, but the power is the ability to pool together in monetarily to make decisions that can affect other countries, right? And this would be a great example. If it was and I say just China because China's freaking huge, so that's not a just, but let's just say it was just China, or it was just Russia, or it was just Saudi Arabia. It's a one-off at that point, and it's like, okay, we'll handle this the way that we best see fit. But the moment that you pick a fight effectively, right? So like somebody steps up on my doorstep, right? And it's like, come out and catch these hands, bro. And then you step out onto the porch and he's got half the neighborhood out there, right? You might want to think twice about stepping out into the yard. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, the way that I view this in a really simplistic fashion is that they're kind of trying to gang up on the United States. Say, listen, I know you think you're the big dog, but when we all band together, we have a lot of strength and power as well. And so I think they're trying to, somebody said in the chat, they're playing chess with the United States. I for sure think that's what they're doing. And even if not,
Biden can't even play checkers. So.
Yeah, right. Even if not to directly put us, quote, like checkmate, only to position themselves to be able to make decisions that then help. It's just kind of like, how do I shift the tides of this game? Because the United States has been literally running all over the chessboard and making decisions for the whole world for so long. And now they're saying, well, wait a minute. We don't have to play the game like that. Let's play it like this. So I think we need to pay close attention to this. This is really important. So many people are trying to kind of ignore it.
We are in a financial economical war with these countries, and we're not, it's not a hot war, it's not a cold war, but it's definitely a green war, right? Yeah. So it's one of these things that people just don't pay attention to, that think nothing's really happening. It's just all talk, but they are definitely big moves happening on the board that, people are just, other countries are just tired. And we tell this to the American people, right? The reason for the Second Amendment, the reason for all this is because there's power in numbers, right? Whereas there's more of us than that there is government officials and all this stuff, right? So we band together, we have more power than them. Well, countries have been figuring this out as well. Americans talk about this all the time. Well, why don't we all band together? There's more countries than one United States, and even if they don't have the mightiest military altogether, they are a force to be reckoned with nonetheless. And economically, they can get squeezed. And if you don't got money, you can't go to war.
I think the interesting thing that I keep looking at, and on TikTok especially, because I do talk a lot about political stuff, I keep getting called like a MAGA troll and all these other things. But like in a really simplistic fashion, what I don't understand is that we see this happening, right? And we have so many distractions in the United States right now that are purposefully placed there, right? Why are we not willing to just face the idea that, hey, we've got problems, how are we going to fix it? As opposed to, let's keep people looking the other way as long as humanly possible so that they're not scared, so they're not fearful, so that we can get their vote. I don't get it.
I think the problem is, I'm not going to speak on it politically, but financially, I think the problem is there was a threshold that we could have just faced the pain and we could have come back from it, right? We could have had, another mini 2008, maybe a milder version of 1929, and still walked away, right? And made a comeback. But I think we passed that threshold a long time ago, and now there is no coming back. If we allow this to happen, it's no soft landing like we've mentioned, right? There's no soft landing that we can just walk away from. If we let it crash, it's gonna go boom hard, and we're not gonna get up again. And the thing what they're trying to do is just prolong
They're just
the
trying to
event,
bide time.
just delay it, right? Delay it as far as they can, delay, but it's not gonna be a cushioned drop when it happens. Whenever it does happen, I believe that threshold has been crossed, and it's gonna be big. It's gonna be bad.
I got to tell you, I have in my past, I've made decisions where I like knew I was in trouble for something, or I've been caught with something or whatever, and done the distraction game, right? Where you try to keep people looking this way, looking that way, look at everything except for the crazy crap that I caused here, right? But the reality is, with time, and this is what I think, this is what I also don't understand, is that time only works in certain instances to your advantage. I'll use an example. My dad's an attorney. And a lot of times when people get in trouble, the reason that they continue the cases and stretch them out, because it's the farther and farther away you can get from something happening, the less of a memory effectively people have of the event. It gives people kind of time to change their mind, whatever the case may be. But in this instance, it's not that the other countries are just like simmering and just like kind of letting it happen. They're aggressively attacking the problems that we have. They look over here and see what we have going on TikTok. They look over here and see the chaos that's happening politically. They look over here and see our United States president that can't put together a full sentence. They see all of that, and they see it as weakness, and they're coming after it. So I just really, really hope that we are able to step up at some point and figure out a way out of this. Now, I don't have the answers. I don't have, a lot of people say, well, Keeper, you always talk about this stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to bring awareness to it so that we as a people can come together and actually not just fight about what your freaking gender is or whatever craziness that they want to talk about. I want to come together and say, hey, we as a people are fed up with the things that are happening in our government. Now, what can we do, we the people, to be able to press forward? And I don't see that happening.
I don't think we can do anything about it. I think that that play is.
So you think that ship is sailed?
That ship has sailed. There's nothing we can do to solve it. I think as a people, we need to bring awareness to this so that people can prepare for when the moment comes, they can be as comfortable as possible.
So what do you think we're doing?
Resources. What do you mean?
What do you think? Like we see, no, I'm saying like our government, for example, they see this happening.
Yeah.
Do you think
that they don't have plans?
I do think they have plans, but do you think
they got spaceships? They got arcs.
But you're talking about military plans, right? You're saying like
survival plans. They got survival plans. So when things go crazy and the people are in the streets, they're going to be in their bunkers. They're not going to be hungry, right? They're going to have resources. They're going to have places across the world. They're going to have their own private submarines. They got all kinds of stuff to survive. We don't have what it takes to survive. And that's what I want people to be aware of. Get the resources and be prepared for when things hit, hard and there's blood in the streets, like in the financial markets. You are prepared to survive these events. I don't think there's anything that people can do coming together to prevent this. The government's too big. And in the world that we live in now, the idea of smaller government doesn't work, and it will never be allowed to occur.
Yeah. That ship for sure has sailed. We have pushed we've allowed the government via, the fog around the world and other things that they've done. We've showed them that a lot of people will just blindly comply with any kind of, whatever they put out. Remind me on the next stream on DCA.
Yeah, I just wanted to remind you, I forgot we're not on the Danger Close Alpha podcast. We are on Debate Crypto. So
I wasn't going to go there with it.
If you guys like the conversation, just imagine what you're going to see on the Danger Close Alpha show.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you right now, or if you're in the chat and you jump on in about 20 minutes for the Danger Close Alpha podcast, somebody remind me, Picnic Just somebody remind me picnic. I had a conversation that I overheard yesterday that made me want to rip my hair out at a child's birthday party. And I heard a very interesting response from a nurse about the conversation. And I was beside myself. So remind me on DCA. We're not going to get into it here. We're trying to hit 10K subs, not get banned before we do. So, you know what I'm saying? So make sure that you guys subscribe and come over there. All right. So let me hit this comment real quick. Donnie says, when this dollar falls, that's when civil war starts. The divide they've created will show its ugly face then. Donnie, I don't know if okay, let me just say it like this. If we had a full-on civil war, I think we all know who's going to win that war. You know what I'm saying? The people that are prepared are generally on one side of the aisle versus the other and have things that would probably equip them for said war. But Crusaders talked about this a lot, and I agree with them. We live in such a soft society now of people that don't want to be inconvenienced. And so nobody's willing to stand up. Nobody's willing to do anything and really just stand up, even just for themselves and for their family. They just comply because it makes their life easier. Oh, I'll just do it because if I don't do it, then this, and this. Well, if you do it, then this, and this moving forward. So yeah, as it relates, pulling it back to crypto and pulling back to the dollar, these countries see all of the chaos that we're talking about that's outside of even the money, and they're saying, okay, where do you hit somebody? Well, you hit them in the freaking pocket. That's just like anybody. If you can reach in and make someone's life harder because their finances are screwed up, it is a very, very, very what's the word I'm looking for? It's a very productive way to destroy possibly a civilization that otherwise had a lot of control. And the US dollar has been that for so long that if they're able to do that, stand by. I think it'll be a little bit longer than we might think, but I think that it's coming. So pay attention. We'll try to keep you guys updated again. Try not to get too far into the weeds over here on Debate Crypto. We are in crypto for the reason that hopefully a lot of you are. We want to be our own bank. We want to make our own decisions. We trust that decentralization can work. A bunch of these computers operating together to validate a network and where some Joe Blow isn't behind the scenes, clicking buttons, making decisions on how much can you put here? What are we going to tax this at? Blah, blah, blah. And so we believe that crypto has the ability to help us with that long term. So smash that like if you agree with that. Smash the like if you don't agree with it. Just smash the like, okay? All right, moving on. NFTs. You guys haven't heard us talk about NFTs. We're going to kind of round out the stream with a little NFT discussion. So NFTs are struggling. Struggle bus is real as it relates to NFTs. News Explorer. Bitcoin, Ethereum spot trading volumes on track for lowest level since 2019. Bitcoin spot trading volumes for the current quarter have reached, hold on a second. No. Where did my NFT thing go? Did I just...
I don't think you're reading the right article.
I don't think I am either. And now, where did it go? All right. Let me just not read the article and tell you what it said. It said Ethereum. It said that the Ethereum volume, I don't know how it got mixed up with the article I had pulled up or thought I had pulled up. It said that Ethereum trading volume on NFTs was as low as it had basically not ever been, because obviously when NFTs first, it's really low.
Not just the volume. Look at the Yuga Lab assets. A mutant was under 5 ETH last week.
I know some of the boards got into the 20s, I think.
They are still in the 20s. They dropped into the low 20s. Now they're like mid to like high 20s. Those things were over 100 ETH, guys. The floor of the Bored Apes were over 100 ETH at one point. We're talking about the floor right now is at literally at 25 to 28 ETH. The mutants were somewhere... Even during the bear market, when the bear market started, they were around 15. I believe during the bull market, they were in their 20s.
In the 20s.
Yeah. Now they were literally 5 ETH to even be last week or so. Mutants were literally below 5 ETH. They were like 4.5 ETH.
So Let's talk about it. So I think that NFTs, and see if you agree, Crusader, but I think that NFTs, as we continue to move towards the idea that our IDs are going to be NFTs, our home deeds are home, like all of that. I think as that happens, and people don't really even recognize that, oh, it's an NFT, it's just digital ownership or proof of digital ownership. I think that'll continue to grow. But do you believe that the NFT market is going to come back rearing its head like a raging freaking bull when the rest of the market comes back, or do you think it will be not the same this time?
Yes, I think it will. I'll go back to something I stated at the beginning of the bear market. Um, might not be fully true, might not have played out the way I thought, but I still think this is going to be valid. This is the first real bear market for NFTs. NFTs, the only NFTs that existed before this market, before this last cycle, was the Crypto Kitties. There was only literally like one, and then the Crypto Punks. So there was literally only like two projects that existed. People didn't really know what NFTs were back then.
Yeah.
This is the real first cycle for NFTs. It's gonna drop. It's like Bitcoin has in the past and all the other crypto assets. But I believe it's gonna get stronger with every cycle that moves on forward. I also believe as these crypto assets, like I mentioned before, was as these crypto assets become more traditional, right? More hedge funds and traditional finance jump into it, and we see more ETFs and we see indexes and we see all this big money take over crypto. We eventually are going to see the death of the altcoins, right? The majority of the 99 altcoins dying, only
Yeah.
some are going to be the ones existing. When that happens, right? And as we see that happening, I believe all NFTs will become the new altcoins. NFTs would be where the people move markets, right? We, the people, are going to be dominating the NFT space versus the hedge fund traditional finance space is going to be moving crypto. And I think people are going to flee to that and have safety in that as well. And it's just going to be that's going to be the next thing. NFTs are going to be the future of altcoins when all the rest of the altcoins really die out. And I think that's what's going to be, because it's going to be a people's market, not a traditional finance market.
So this is an interesting topic, and this is a great comment that ties in with what I was about to say. So Donnie said, as soon as people start to understand how to use smart contracts, how to include property and such, then tie it to NFTs, it will explode. I have talked a lot about this next bull run being utilitarian. You've heard me say it if you've watched me for any amount of time. I think that the projects that are truly solving real world problems are going to absolutely blast off. And so, for example, I've talked about VeChain recently, where I believe that, not only with the partnerships that they have, but what they supply chain management, like that's never going to go away. And that is a massive industry combined with having huge partnerships that I believe will do really well. So let's move it over to NFTs. We were putting utility with our DCA NFTs, for example. Like, we had a big event that was really successful. We had a great time. It was really good meeting people and people getting educated on prepping and, blah, 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 blah. There was utility tied there. It solved a problem, or at least created an atmosphere of where people could say, hey, you know what, I can invest in this, and then I can attend and do this. So I think that the art side of it is still going to have its place, because the reality is people are always going to want a Van Gogh. People are always going to want a Rembrandt. People are always going to want these type of things. So is it tempting for me to buy a Bored Ape? It is. It is, right? Because if, they're still going to rip and do well. I believe that they still will. For me, the liquidity or lack of liquidity is where I have a hard time justifying spending 20, 30, 40 ETH at a time for in the instance that maybe I need it for something. It's not so easy just to get in and out of. And so I think that the utility side of it, if we're able to tie it, like the chat was saying, like Donnie was saying, like once we're able to tie it and fractionalize and real estate and real world assets, I think that's where all of a sudden the game change, starts to really happen.
Talking about NFTs and liquidity and the Yuga Lab assets, let me show you guys this. Look what's happening. Look what somebody is doing right now with Yuga Lab assets. So apparently there's a sophisticated entity with a degen long on Yuga NFTs. They've borrowed another 160 ETH against his own apes, and now has 950 ETH in a position that's on the 9x leverage. So basically he's put down about 100 ETH for 900 ETH worth of apes, mutants, dogs, and is paying 1.8 ETH a day in interest. Every time the floor starts to look shaky, he borrows more and sweeps. Wise man once told me, when you owe the bank 10 ETH, that's your problem. When you owe the bank 800 ETH, that's the bank's problem. How crazy is that, dude? So somebody is stacking up mutants and leveraging it and trading it and taking out loans against them to buy as many as they can for the next bull market in NFTs.
So what was it Blur? Blur was the other NFT platform, right? That everybody was saying like, oh, screw, like there was an F Blur like project that came out and like all of that, right? Well, Blur, I was talking to a good friend of the channel, Fully Vox, the other day, and we got into this NFT discussion. And he was telling me that Blur, and I think they call it Blend, has a protocol called Blend. And effectively, you can you can basically take a loan against, even for full value, off of any of your NFTs and get it in ETH. Okay. And I said, well, wait a minute. There's got to be an interest rate on this. And they said, yes. And I said, so what's the play here? He said, well, here's the problem. He said, first of all, effectively what's happening is somebody on the platform is the one that's loaning you the money. So somebody says, oh, he wants to loan me that. Well, I'll go ahead and do it at this interest rate, and they get to set that interest rate, and then you accept it. You say, oh, okay, I'll take that. The problem with it is they can effectively call the loan at any point in time. So I'll just tell you a story from him telling me the other day. He said he did this because they were trying to move some stuff around, right? And he said the first day it was like, and I'm going to get this a little bit off, but it was like 0.015% interest on 20 ETH or something like that. Okay. I'm just paraphrasing here because I don't remember the exact numbers. He said, great. The next day, they called on the loan, and somebody else picked it up and said, well, I'll do it for 0.075% ETH. Said, okay, I can still deal with that. Within like 4 days, that loan got restructured like 5 times to where it was at 12%. And I'm like, good Lord, bro. So while there is, I think that there's opportunity to be able to do maybe what this guy is doing, I think you need to be really freaking careful.
Bankroll.
Yeah, you better be ready to back it up because, dude, if he's paying 1 point something ETH a day, he needs that floor. And I don't know how he's doing this, how he's got this structured, but he effectively needs large moves in the market in short periods of time, because if not, it's going to eat up all the ETH in the process. So he needs like, a 5 ETH floor move on 900 ETH. That's a massive, massive move. So maybe that's what he's doing, and he's willing to take the risk in the meantime. But it's an interesting idea that you owe the bank 900 ETH. That sounds like the bank's problem. That's
yeah, dude. I mean, imagine a bank is like, dude, I need that 900 ETH. I don't got it. DJen
said, sounds like a mortgage-backed security. Haha. I think we're going to see, that's a good point. I think we're going to see a lot of that as well, where the NFT space comes under scrutiny for some of this stuff, because you're right. It does. I mean, flat out, that is not a crisp, clean line in the sand as I see it anyway. You are effectively saying, hey, I will back it. I'll give you the interest rate, but I can call it whenever I want. And it's a variable interest rate. So we'll just kind of figure it out as we go. Sounds sketchy to me. Sounds scary. People are doing it. Be careful out there, folks. That's what I want to say.
I would definitely not be doing any of those leveraging trades on NFTs at that point.
Well, do you know even where you can leverage trade NFTs?
Yeah, there's a platform. There's a platform I forget what it's called, something space. That I know. I know there's probably other ones, but this is the one I know. I think it's called something space. I forget what it is. And basically, you can put up your NFTs there and get a value ratio loan from your apes, and then they'll give you the ETH, and then obviously you do whatever you want with the ETH. He's clearly just getting the ETH and then just buying more apes.
Yeah, right.
With it, and then I'm assuming as he buys more apes, right, what he's doing is that, well, now I have more apes, I can just return those apes onto the platform, get more ETH back again, and then just continuously accumulate as many apes as possible.
I'd love to see what this guy's taxes look like. I bet this guy's CPA wants to murder him.
Be outside the United States.
I bet his CPA wants to absolutely just X him off the planet. I'm going to tell you that right now. Hey, Crypto fam, listen, in 6 minutes, literally, we're going to cut the stream here in 1 minute. we actually have the stream redirected for you. So it's going to cut us right over there. If you guys need to grab a snack or whatever, please come over to Danger Close Alpha. Even if you don't hang out for the whole time,
just stay on screen. You're
yeah.
going to be pushed right on over there. And then just the show's about to start. Just wait, go take a snack, go take a pee break, whatever it is. And then the show's going to be rolling in like 3 minutes.
Yeah. So we are super excited. This is our second week strong. We got some fun stuff to talk about. Like I said, we definitely walked the line over there. Help us hit at least 50 subs today. We're like 15 shy, 14 shy. I haven't looked here in a second. Let me update it. Let me check one more time here. Drum roll, please. We are. Oh, we got a few more. We are 11 subs shy on Danger Close Alpha. Let me share my screen so that I can show you guys. Let me share my screen here real quick so I can show you guys where you're going. Let me see here. We got right here, baby. Danger Close Alpha YouTube. This is getting ready to start here in just a couple minutes. We are super excited about it. We're having fun, kind of going outside of just our regular crypto stuff. If you watch us on TikTok, you see us talk about some other stuff as well. We love it. We'd love for you guys to be a part of it. So Crypto Fam, we love you. You could have been anywhere on a Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, depending on where you're at, but you're hanging out with Debate Crypto. Make sure to smash that like if you haven't already on the way out. Stick around. In about 4 minutes, Danger Close Alpha is going live.
Yeah,
just remember.
Make that over there right now.
So get over there. Question everything.
Trust nothing.
And until next time, hodl.
Like us out.
We'll see you soon.